Welcome to Alpha Brains, the ultimate place to challenge your brain power. In this video, you have to guess world's all countries by its flag. You have got just 4 seconds to guess each answer, and for every correct answer, you score 1 point. And don't forget to like the video and hit that subscribe button for more amazing quizzes. Ready to get started? Let's go. Which country's flag is this? Afghanistan. Which country's flag is this? Albania. Which country's flag is this? Algeria. Which country's flag is this? Andorra. Which country's flag is this? Angola. Which country's flag is this? Antigua and Barbuda. Which country's flag is this? Argentina. Which country's flag is this? Armenia. Which country's flag is this? Australia. Which country's flag is this? Austria. Which country's flag is this? Azerbaijan. Which country's flag is this? Bahamas. Which country's flag is this? Bahrain. Which country's flag is this? Bangladesh. Which country's flag is this? Barbados. Which country's flag is this? Belarus. Which country's flag is this? Belgium. Which country's flag is this? Belize. Which country's flag is this? Benin. Which country's flag is this? Bhutan. Which country's flag is this? Bolivia. Which country's flag is this? Bosnia and Herzegovina. Which country's flag is this? Botswana. Which country's flag is this? Brazil. Which country's flag is this? Brunei. Which country's flag is this? Bulgaria. Which country's flag is this? Burkina Faso. Which country's flag is this? Burundi. Which country's flag is this? Côte d'Ivoire. Which country's flag is this? Cabo Verde. Which country's flag is this? Cambodia. Which country's flag is this? Cameroon. Which country's flag is this? Canada. Which country's flag is this? Central African Republic. Which country's flag is this? Chad. Which country's flag is this? Chile. Which country's flag is this? China. Which country's flag is this? Colombia. Which country's flag is this? Comoros. Which country's flag is this? Congo. Which country's flag is this? Costa Rica. Which country's flag is this? Croatia. Which country's flag is this? Cuba. Which country's flag is this? Cyprus. Which country's flag is this? Czech Republic, Czechia. Which country's flag is this? Denmark. Which country's flag is this? Djibouti. Which country's flag is this? Dominica. Which country's flag is this? Dominican Republic. Which country's flag is this? North Korea. Which country's flag is this? Democratic Republic of the Congo. Which country's flag is this? Ecuador. Which country's flag is this? Egypt. Which country's flag is this? El Salvador. Which country's flag is this? Equatorial Guinea. Which country's flag is this? Eritrea. Which country's flag is this? Estonia. Which country's flag is this? Eswatini. Which country's flag is this? Ethiopia. Which country's flag is this? Fiji. Which country's flag is this? Finland. Which country's flag is this? France. Which country's flag is this? Gabon. Which country's flag is this? Gambia. Which country's flag is this? Georgia. Which country's flag is this? Germany. Which country's flag is this? Ghana. Which country's flag is this? Greece. Which country's flag is this? Grenada. Which country's flag is this? Guatemala. Which country's flag is this? Guinea. Which country's flag is this? Guinea-Bissau. Which country's flag is this? Guyana. Which country's flag is this? Haiti. Which country's flag is this? Holy See. Which country's flag is this? Honduras. Which country's flag is this? Hungary. Which country's flag is this? Iceland. Which country's flag is this? India. Which country's flag is this? Indonesia. Which country's flag is this? Iran. Which country's flag is this? Iraq. Which country's flag is this? Ireland. Which country's flag is this? Israel. Which country's flag is this? Italy. Which country's flag is this? Jamaica. Which country's flag is this? Japan. Which country's flag is this? Jordan. Which country's flag is this? Kazakhstan. Which country's flag is this? Kenya. Which country's flag is this? Kiribati. Which country's flag is this? Kuwait. Which country's flag is this? Kyrgyzstan. Which country's flag is this? Laos. Which country's flag is this? Latvia. Which country's flag is this? Lebanon. Which country's flag is this? Lesotho. Which country's flag is this? Liberia. Which country's flag is this? Libya. Which country's flag is this? Liechtenstein. Which country's flag is this? Lithuania. Which country's flag is this? Luxembourg. Which country's flag is this? Madagascar. Which country's flag is this? Malawi. Which country's flag is this? Malaysia. Which country's flag is this? Maldives. Which country's flag is this? Mali. Which country's flag is this? Malta. Which country's flag is this? Marshall Islands. Which country's flag is this? Mauritania. Which country's flag is this? Mauritius. Which country's flag is this? Mexico. Which country's flag is this? Micronesia. Which country's flag is this? Moldova. Which country's flag is this? Monaco. Which country's flag is this? Mongolia. Which country's flag is this? Montenegro. Which country's flag is this? Morocco. Which country's flag is this? Mozambique? Which country's flag is this? Myanmar. Which country's flag is this? Namibia. Which country's flag is this? Nauru. Which country's flag is this? Nepal. Which country's flag is this? Netherlands. Which country's flag is this? New Zealand. Which country's flag is this? Nicaragua. Which country's flag is this? Niger. Which country's flag is this? Nigeria. Which country's flag is this? North Macedonia. Which country's flag is this? Norway. Which country's flag is this? Oman. Which country's flag is this? Pakistan. Which country's flag is this? Palau. Which country's flag is this? Panama. Which country's flag is this? Papua New Guinea. Which country's flag is this? Paraguay. Which country's flag is this? Peru. Which country's flag is this? Philippines. Which country's flag is this? Poland. Which country's flag is this? Portugal. Which country's flag is this? Qatar. Which country's flag is this? Romania. Which country's flag is this? Russia. Which country's flag is this? Rwanda. Which country's flag is this? St. Kitts and Nevis. Which country's flag is this? St. Lucia. Which country's flag is this? Samoa. Which country's flag is this? San Marino. Which country's flag is this? Sao Tome and Principe. Which country's flag is this? Saudi Arabia. Which country's flag is this? Senegal. Which country's flag is this? Serbia. Which country's flag is this? Seychelles. Which country's flag is this? Sierra Leone. Which country's flag is this? Singapore. Which country's flag is this? Slovakia. Which country's flag is this? Slovenia. Which country's flag is this? Solomon Islands. Which country's flag is this? Somalia. Which country's flag is this? South Africa. Which country's flag is this? South Korea. Which country's flag is this? Sudan. Which country's flag is this? Spain? Which country's flag is this? Sri Lanka. Which country's flag is this? Saint Vincent and the Grenadines. Which country's flag is this? Palestine. Which country's flag is this? Sudan. Which country's flag is this? Suriname. Which country's flag is this? Sweden. Which country's flag is this? Switzerland. Which country's flag is this? Syria. Which country's flag is this? Tajikistan. Which country's flag is this? Tanzania. Which country's flag is this? Thailand. Which country's flag is this? Timor-Leste. Which country's flag is this? Togo. Which country's flag is this? Tonga. Which country's flag is this? Trinidad and Tobago. Which country's flag is this? Tunisia. Which country's flag is this? Turkey. Which country's flag is this? Turkmenistan. Which country's flag is this? Tuvalu. Which country's flag is this? United Arab Emirates. Which country's flag is this? United Kingdom. Which country's flag is this? United States. Which country's flag is this? Uganda. Which country's flag is this? Ukraine. Which country's flag is this? Uruguay. Which country's flag is this? Uzbekistan. Which country's flag is this? Vanuatu. Which country's flag is this? Venezuela. Which country's flag is this? Vietnam. Which country's flag is this? Yemen. Which country's flag is this? Zambia. Which country's flag is this? Zimbabwe. If you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing content. And comment your score as well. Thanks for watching.